What's going on YouTube? Bendable Straws back with another Crucible defense video for Season 7. We're going to be letting you guys know what you guys should be putting on a Crucible defense to maximize your wins this season, at least in the first round or so. hopefully for the rest of the season. Today I have a Thame GG. How we doing today, my guy?
Pretty good.
And we had gone over some of these defenses before in a previous video. The link for that will be up there in the corner there and in the description. We went over like how different raid teams would necessarily function in room 2. We were putting A.P.E.G.A.S.U extreme, and then we were noticing like, well, this team is going to beat it here, or that team's going to beat it here. But then we started to break everything down, and we finally realized that P.E.G.A.S.U is probably going to be the net zero of where everything is going to fall, because we didn't necessarily want to put an A.P.E.G.A.S.U in here because it would ruin the Kestrel focus mechanic, because Kestrel is going to go first and then Ironheart's going to stun so many people. It would just be a mess. But we'll definitely get to that topic. First, we're going to start back off with our room 1. We didn't necessarily change too much, and from what we know from a couple videos from the Updog, I believe Updog posted a video. A link to that will be in the description as well, where it's explaining that this room is actually bugged. It's to the point where everybody is applying ability blocks, so I guess this is a lock, isn't it, a thing? Because they have immunity and all that nonsense.
Yeah, so I think Infinity Watch and or Infinity Q.S. still goes here, because Nebula is still going to apply ability block to everyone, and you want her as a skirmisher anyways for the assist mechanics on the team. So it just doesn't create any much of a problem to change what we would do here.
Yeah, because there's not necessarily anything else in there that you would want to be susceptible to that, essentially, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to throw something into this that's just going to get ability blocked off rip. You want to have something that's at least going to stand a fighting chance. And if you do end up hitting a Quicksilver, it's just going to get ability blocked and get the 50% damage anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody else will have immunity and they'll be safe. So I think that's pretty much a lock for 1. So what essentially were you thinking for offense for room 1, as far as everything we have on defense, of course?
So into room 1, even with QS there, I think you can still just take care of it with either a Darkhold big time or like a Darkhold Red Hulk kind of comp.
Yeah, like a Rockhold. I was a little curious to see why we didn't necessarily put Darkhold on defense, but that was because of the whole room 4 thing. We're gonna get to that, because they're way better off on offense than they are on defense, just to get pointed out by like a tangled web or something like that. We definitely don't want that.
You can even still just take Morgan and use her in certain spots if you feel inclined to do so, whereas on defense everybody knows how to beat it. It's not a secret anymore.
Yeah, it's just go, tangled web, Nova, go in and destroy it. But they'll have a little bit of difficulty with leaving P.E.G.A.S.U in 2 and losing a Kestrel for a lot of those variables. So moving into room 2, we have P.E.G.A.S.U. What was the thinking behind this? Because we did have A.P.E.G.A.S.U extreme, we had extreme, we had A.P.E.G.A.S.U Bifrost. We were thinking about absolutely everything, but the community seems set on Bifrost specifically. But I'm thinking P.E.G.A.S.U, full P.E.G.A.S.U is actually going to do a bit better. And we don't necessarily need to use A.P.E.G.A.S.U here, because like I said, the focus boost is going to be wasted on the mirror match. And I just think A.P.E.G.A.S.U would be better use elsewhere. Separate the problems, right?
Yeah, so certainly some of your goal with CC is spreading your roster in the most efficient way you can without making teams easier. Full P.E.G.A.S.U, the most make sense kind of counter is what a lot of people are aiming to put on defense at some other creator's recommendation, and it will end up causing them problems to not have that counter for room 2. because you're going to have to do some other weird shenanigans to try to beat room 2 in order to overcome the 75% turn meter on spawn that they get.
Yeah, we were thinking of something very specific, right? We were thinking of New Warriors SUNSPOT, and a lot of people were calling us crazy, and we were trying to think of like, well, it's a raid room. How can we use a team to benefit twice, right? So we came up with the New Warriors SUNSPOT. Apparently, somewhere in Cloak's kit, I believe I have them favorited.
So Cloak, whenever an enemy gains offense down, rewinds them by 15%. So you could do either New Warrior SUNSPOT or Extreme Cloak, depending on the team you're going into, and get essentially a 15% turn meter reduction of the enemy team on spawn. Not to mention any other applications of offense down that you get through your character kits in order to make sure that you're able to control the other team. So full Pegasus, I don't believe you'll be able to go first even bringing SUNSPOT, but if they do like Pegasus APOC and drop Kestrel, you can use this as a way to get around the team to basically attempt to overpower them before they can get going.
Yeah, because SUNSPOT on spawn gives out offense down, right?
Yeah, in raid.
In raid specifically. That's one thing that we really wanted to point out and be very explicit with, because sure, on paper it's correct, right? On paper it's correct, but
I mean, in practice can always be different. And keep in mind that SUNSPOT special also does offense down on his first turn.
Yeah.
So if you have to, you can use like Extreme with Nightcrawler, SUNSPOT, Gambit, Forge, and then drop Cyclops to bring Cloak along, and you'll get that turn meter rewind on spawn. Combine that with Nightcrawler's speed up and turn meter on spawn that he gives the team himself. You can essentially go before a 4-man Pegasus APOC team or other variations of it in order to go first and try to beat the team down before they even get going.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Because when you prolong a negative effect that way, it does still count as if you're applying another offense down to rewind them with SUNSPOT.
Yeah, hopefully that works in Scopely math. That's one of the things that we've actually been wanting to test in Room 2. Hopefully when we do get to that point, we'll be able to use this team here. We're actually going to be... We were thinking about taking out Firestar, weren't we?
Yeah, we want to test the New Warrior SUNSPOT team and or Extreme Cloak, both playing around that offense down mechanic on spawn to see if it's enough to overpower Pegasus. Because Pegasus on spawn with the full team gets 75%, Nightcrawler gets 25% and speed up, and it basically comes down to, can you do enough to at least go faster than Ironheart if you bring like Extreme SUNSPOT, because you'll have them basically at 60% after you do the offense down on spawn to everyone. Kestrel will ult into someone's evade, you know. She'll do her whatever, and then the question is 25% plus speed up enough to overcome the turn meter on Ironheart in order to stun her with Nightcrawler?
Bottom line is, it's a lot of math. All right, we've been
It's a shit ton of math.
We've been spending countless time just trying to come up with any kind of variable that could actually do this, and it turns out that the New Warriors are a raid team somehow, and also a Crucible offense team.
They were the Mystic raid team right after Sacred Avengers, Deathpool, Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, so they're giving out those extra speed bonuses. Hidden little strategies that we were able to find. So what else do you think will work in Room 2? You said something about a Cabal, right?
Yeah, so if you don't have to use them elsewhere, Cabal will prevent the turn meter that Pegasus would get because they'll do the vulnerable on spawn effects. And then you can just put like Emma Archangel here if you have a big Namor, and Namor will go after Iron Patriot, who will take the first turn, because Emma will again reduce the speed of all of the Pegasus members by 10%.
Yeah.
So the fastest member would be like Kestrel at 112, while Iron Patriot's 119. He'll do a special, then Namor goes, especially if IP crits even just one target, and you just start taking off from there.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Even at this low, I still believe that a 1.2 team like that would be able to take on like maybe a 2 million, maybe at 3 million, it would get a little weird.
At 3 million, it would probably get a little weird just for the size from the damage perspective, because you still got to be able to get through it.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough cookie. But I'm pretty excited about Room 2, man. There's a lot of people talking about Bifrost. There's a lot of people talking about Extreme. There's a lot of people talking about this and that. But it's all come down to Pegasus, unfortunately. So if you guys have been using Kestrel in teams previously, you might want to consider loosening up or finding out some other hybrids, you know, sort of like the Tangled Web team with Kestrels and stuff. You might have to sacrifice an Omega Red now. It's just something to think about, because you never really want to go too soft on a defense, because you want to put up a wall that they're going to have a challenge to get through, because you already have the offense that you need to get through it. Which leaves us...
Yeah, and if you don't have enough to at least slow them down, if not cause them a speed bump here or there, you're just going to lose the efficiency battle if you try to go all-out efficiency war.
Yeah, that's going to lead us to our Room 3. We've been thinking about a lot of things for this, right? We've been thinking about like maybe an unlimited with what's-his-face doing offense ups all over the place and giving assists now to all of the unlimited, or your gammas even, or literally anything that gives offense up. But MOE is going to be, just be careful with what you put in 3, because MOE is going to absolutely bulldoze it.
Yeah, if you don't take Room 3 very serious, MOE will just walk in here and rip something apart. So you have to be very mindful of the team that you put here, which is why I like Superior 6, because at least it doesn't crumble to MOE in a breath.
Yeah, you got to put a little bit more thought into it. What we were thinking of to possibly even battle this would be a Super Scroll team, right?
Yeah.
Preferably a Super Scroll Vol Beta Ray Doom Flex with Hela, but all things considered with Room 2, we may be needing to use Bifrost in Room 2 to counter some possible things that we see there. So we tried to move it around with 2 more heroes, and we ended up with this. Do you want to explain this one?
So same concept as bringing the Vol and Beta Ray build is you get your 2 heroes, and the entire goal of the fight is just get through with getting Doom to drop off of the Green Goblin charges and take the fight off that way by taking advantage of a lot of the mechanics you get out of Doom and Sus to overpower the Superior 6 before they get a turn.
Yeah, because you're going to get Goblin bombed pretty heavily in the beginning. With every turn that you take, you're just going to be getting hit. And hopefully they're hitting those Gregs and getting them out of the field as well.
And that tends to happen more often than you would think.
Hopefully it'll work out in our favor. But I can't wait to try this room out. Do you think this will work with possibly anything that is put in this room?
I think Superior 6 is probably the strongest thing that could go in this room. Anything else that this team would potentially find errors in, I'm sure you could overpower with MOE.
Yeah.
Like if they do an unlimited split, this will still walk over unlimited because Super Scroll, and or you can MOE it and be just fine.
Yeah, that sounds pretty solid. As far as Room 3 goes, I think that's what we're going to see mostly. If not that, then we'll see some other offense up comps, but it's going to be really interesting to see what people put in there. I'm stoked, man. I absolutely can't wait. We've been we've been what, a week without Crucible, and
Yeah, I'm
it
kinda
feels
bored.
like
I need
an
Crucible in my life
absolute
again.
eternity, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. It's such a good game mode, and you can definitely see how well liked it is because of how many people want it. Like, I couldn't tell you how many people wanted an Ultimate 32 again in the interim, like while they were fixing out all the issues with the leaderboard and stuff. And the payouts did go out correctly if you are watching this video, so that was a little bit of a relief.
People are like, "Where's my Crucible?"
Yeah, where are my dark diamonds for my APOC? All right, so moving on into room 4. This has been up and down. Like, I really want to put the Darkhold in here, but again, we just don't want it to get rolled by a tangled web so easily, you know? So we want to save a Darkhold for either attacking a Black Order Vulture or attacking a Infinity Watch Quicksilver, but there's nothing really else that we can put in here that we want to sacrifice. Like, we were even thinking about, what if we were to put this room here, or this room there, or this room here, like just moving around the rooms in different locations, and nothing really seemed to budge. Do you wanna explain room 4?
So the main thing that comes into mind with room 4 is the advantages that you can get away in this room with, especially a character like Vulture. So if they bring any heroes, Vulture's going to go super fast, and he's going to open up with that ult that does the rewind. And combined with different teams, that gives you a number of, ways to take advantage of that turn meter rewind. Like with Black Order, you can compound it into Proxima and Ma ults to do more rewinds. Or if you put like Noir, X23, and Jubilee here, you can just really pound in the amount of damage you do and start taking people on different turn meter advantages to overpower another team before they get going.
Yeah. What I noticed is, like, some people tell me all the time, well, I don't have my Black Order built really that much, so I have been recommending Darkhold there. Like, say they have like a 100k Thanos, that's not really going to do much damage, right? So I've been
at
just
that point you
recommending.
would run like Vulture Darkhold.
Yeah, you would put in Vulture Darkhold and then bite the bullet on number 1, and then try to see what you could come up with if you were to run into this. If you didn't have a Darkhold, what would you run into a Black Order Vulture with?
You would really want a team that has an element of safeguard in order to withstand the damage. Something like Darkhold or Extreme Rogue, or basically a team that can either dodge the Vulture ult out the gate and or be able to withstand the onslaught of damage that happens at the beginning.
Yeah, that's why we've been sort of saving this here, right? And if we were to use that Sunspot on the new Warrior comp in 2, we would still be able to bring in a Cyclops here and still be fine.
A Cyclops or a Jubilee and get different advantages on this team depending on what you do.
Yeah, thankfully, see, there's like a weird kind of flex this season. There's a way to do it offensively, but either put in like a different defense, right? Put in this and then move in on it with this, but always being mindful of what's in the other room, right? You never want to only plan for one room, right?
And that's always been my approach to Crucible, is if you don't know what you want to do to all 6 rooms and you start attacking, you can shoot yourself in the foot before you even realize it and put yourself in a bad position, because sometimes you have 2 acceptable counters to a given team, and another one, the ideal counter might have been one of those 2, and if you use it not even thinking about it,
Yeah,
you can start to put yourself in a bad position.
if you end up rushing and jumping the gun on, say, something you may have overspent on the raid room that you may need in room 3, or you may need up against this. And that actually brings us to a really good point of why you don't necessarily see SD on our defense. We sort of want to keep that on offense just in case we run into this nonsense here, which is the out of time Dorm. I'll let you take this one because it's sort of stopping the It's stopping any kind of sack, essentially, so it still has some worth.
So Dorm with Out of Time had a decent amount of value last season for some of the same reasons, in that without a almost over counter for Black Knight, things like MOE or New Warriors could just crash and burn. This season, that advantage has only grown because now we don't have any season rule that removes revive once, unlike last season and the one before it. So Dorm has gained a lot of value back on defense, being able to keep his revives unless you bring a character like Black Cat or another character that clears revive once.
Yeah.
And that problem can help push your opponent's roster to its limit if they, say, have Secret Defenders on defense or another team that would be very useful for trying to take down a Black Knight.
Yeah, you could probably use a Cabal on offense because Leader's ultimate removes revive once, right?
Yeah, and Cabal will obviously still get through it, but if you're having to Cabal this team, you're going to find yourself in a number of other predicaments.
Yeah, then you've pretty much already won.
If you can take one win from an offense-heavy opponent because you just spread their offense too far, and their defense isn't anything that you have to sack because they have too much on offense, you just kind of win without even having to play the efficiency game.
Yeah, I really like this a lot because it can stop a sack, and even like it sort of makes them sack, right?
Yeah, and if you don't bring the right kind of sack, the follow-up attack can still demand something powerful from you because of the threat that Dormammu poses. And it's hard to clear that revive once on the team without bringing the appropriate kind of sack. When Dorm has Fortifier, you can't come in here with like Invaders or something silly.
Yeah, you can't come in with anything silly. So that moves us on to room 6, Crossroads. We were thinking about extreme rogue in here, right?
Yeah, we were thinking about a variation of a crit team like Extreme Rogue or a Hivemind comp here. And there's definitely an idea you can do here with this team, which is why we did Hivemind, Robbie, and A.P.E.G.A.S.U, because Robbie is going to give the team 20% crit chance, and all of those crits are going to help pump out bleeds on a team that already can flip positives and apply bleeds to speed up Robbie and make him kind of the star of the show.
Yeah, because if these guys get going, even once that Void Knight flips everything into nonsense, that's going to send that Robbie flying, and then Robbie's going to send people down.
Carnage is going to follow up, and it's going to turn into a vicious cycle of bleed and death.
Oh my goodness, Sar Edwards. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. That's right, YouTube. We are doing this live on Twitch. The link will be in the description if you want to check this out. Holy moly. Thank you, Sar. Whew. So, what was the thinking of room 6? Do you think we can leave A.P.E.G.A.S.U in here, or do you think he's necessary?
I don't think you have to have A.P.E.G.A.S.U on offense. Super Skrull is already pulled to offense because of the threat of Black Knight and Cabal, and you get a massive benefit out of putting a character like A.P.E.G.A.S.U on defense in order to force your opponent's roster to spread even further. Because now if they have, let's say they think they're brave and they go defense heavy and they have Sus on defense, and the only major character on offense they have left is A.P.E.G.A.S.U, well, they have to have something good for room 3, and they have to deal with your A.P.E.G.A.S.U. You can force them into a situation where they're sacking one or both, and that alone can be enough for you to take the win.
Yeah, just on wasted sacks alone, because this will probably guarantee a sack in each. And if they have a really bad time in 3, I can see a lot of crashing and burning.
It definitely forces your opponent to play the same kind of game as you have to be able to sit here and plan out your attacks appropriately. And if you are too far offense heavy or too far defense heavy, we can punish you in different ways for taking that approach just by getting the value out of our offense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So with taking Extreme off of defense in 6, an honorable mention to Extreme X-Men, where would we be using them on offense?
So Extreme X-Men is a super interesting team when it comes to offense, because you can use it to beat a number of teams when piloted correctly, and you could even sub in different members of the X-Men to influence how the team plays. Like, you can beat Black Knight comps with it, with or without a sec, depending on the size of the Black Knight. You can beat Secret Defenders with it. You can go into like Black Order Vulture and take it down.
Yeah, that's
you
what
get
I
a
was
lot
thinking
of
in
different value out of coming in with an extreme team, namely because there are so many different things you can do. You can do the full extreme rogue. You can go into a slower team and take Jubilee and X-23 if you aren't using them on defense, and just make it an absolute bloodbath and just go full efficiency on it. Like, you get a lot of different things you can do with this team and the value it can bring to your roster on offense because of the speed of Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it's gonna be, man, I just already imagine using Extreme in Room 2 on offense.
Yeah, into like a Bifrost.
Yeah, and absolutely having an absolute set match for that. That'll be really interesting. So, do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you possibly see becoming a problem? Like, what do you believe is going to be the worst room in this CC?
I think long-term, Room 2 with Spider Society is going to become a problem. I'm really interested to see what happens coming out of Room 6 of any different comps like Hivemind Robbie, Noir Hivemind, anything like that that just plays on doing a lot of very fast, critty style of damage and just chucking bleeds out there to try to either make your score in that room drop pretty hard to damage and or even wipe you.
Yeah, it's gonna... Because some folks are going to be putting SD Noir in there, right? It's a little questionable.
A lot of people have been kind of looking at that and thinking of what that can do without really considering the merit of, well, what do you do if someone just blows that team up?
Yeah, it's just going to be...
You would lose a major team. Here, we have basically like APOC and Robbie here, and we still have Black Cat as a powerful Dorm counter, and you can bring Hard Light to rewind people and make your team go faster. And there's just a lot of different things you can do with some of these pieces if you deploy them in the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We were also thinking about, we were even considering the 3-piece with Peter B. Parker, Ghost Spider, and Noir, with maybe a Tangled in Room 2. But then we ended up deciding that it might have been easily taken out by, I forget the team that we were talking about.
It's going to struggle with either MOE or Pegasus until you get at least a 4th member. Because when you get the 4th member is when things start to come together for that team. You get a lot more of the durability mechanics that are built into the team to keep it going. You know, the sustain, which Peter B. Parker brings a lot, but when you get that 4th member, now the team's immune to defense down.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be really fun. I absolutely can't wait, man. So with some closing statements, I want to thank you for coming on today, Athame. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about what you guys will be using on your CC defense this season. Athame, is there anything you want to let the community know before we go?
Keep your mind clear when you're looking at teams. Don't go rushing in. Take your time to plan out your attacks, and it will go a lot better for you.
Take your time, and I promise you it will end up paying off. Don't believe that you need to use the biggest thing in the worst rooms. Just space it all out, and I promise you guys will be good. If you guys want to join us on Twitch, the link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. And that was great.